Ooh, a Name That Pokeball competition? I've got this, no problem. I'm gonna get every single one of these right. That's a Pokeball, and that's a Great Ball. That's a Quick Ball, come on! That's obviously a Beast Ball. You've gotta give me something harder than that. I know this joke, that's clearly a Jigglypuff scene from above. What? It's Top Deck Academy! Hey trainers! Battles in the Pokemon trading card game are a little different to others you might have seen. Instead of having a team of up to 6 Pokemon on hand, TCG decks have a wide variety of Pokemon in them, but they all have to be drawn from your deck. It's so important to be able to find the right Pokemon at the right time. That's why decks in the Pokemon trading card game include trainer cards. That is, item cards, supporter cards, and stadium cards that search for Pokemon. Collectively, you will hear these cards be called search cards. In a typical deck, you may see upwards of 9 cards dedicated to searching for Pokemon. Knowing which search cards to say "I choose you to" can be tricky because they are all unique. Let's find out more about the item cards, supporter cards, and stadium cards that enable you to search your deck for Pokemon. I'll also be showing you a Rapid Strike Malamar deck that demonstrates the strength of search abilities. Ready for action? Let's do this! Item cards are the most common way to search for Pokemon in the trading card game, making up the bulk of the search cards in a typical deck. Most of these item cards are different types of Pokeballs. The Pokeball is the icon of the trading card game. Take a look at the reverse side of any of your cards, and you'll see one there. It's unsurprising that they play such an important role in battle. Here is a Rapid Strike deck that takes advantage of the synergy between Tentacle Friends, Malamar, and Octillery. This deck has 12 search cards in total, 8 of which are item cards. The strategy is to use search cards to find Rapid Strike cards to power up Malamar's Rapid Strike Tentacles attack, which does 40 damage for each Rapid Strike card you reveal in your hand. Octillery's Rapid Strike search ability also enables you to search the deck for a Rapid Strike card. There is certainly synergy between these two Pokemon. In this Rapid Strike deck, there are 4 Quick Balls. How thematic! Cards like Quick Ball that let you search for basic Pokemon are staples in most trading card game decks, as they are essential to almost every strategy. There are loads of basic Pokemon in our deck that we want to put into play as quickly as possible, so there are 4 copies of Quick Ball, the maximum number permitted. In this deck, you could swap Quick Ball for Level Ball because all of the basic Pokemon have 90 hit points or less, except for Eldegoss V. Malamar and Octillery, the heroes of this deck, are both evolved Pokemon. That's why there are also 2 Evolution Incense in the deck. With an Evolution Incense, you can search for the Malamar or Octillery you need to keep up those powerful Rapid Strike combinations. It's a must-have search card for every deck featuring evolved Pokemon. Fortunately, you don't need to search far and wide for Quick Ball, Level Ball, or Evolution Incense because the Trainer's Toolkit includes 2 of each of these cards. In order to do loads of damage with Malamar's Rapid Strike Tentacles, there needs to be a Malamar in play with a Psychic Energy attached and a bunch of Rapid Strike cards in hand. I foresee a future where this is possible, and it features Fog Crystal. Fog Crystal is a great inclusion in this deck because it searches for Psychic-type Pokemon or a Psychic Energy card, both of which are needed to pull off the combination that we just discussed. When a card serves more than one purpose, it gives you more options in battle. Take a moment to compare the item cards in your deck or collection that search for Pokemon. Even though they all search for Pokemon, think about how one card might suit your deck better than another. Oh, and don't be fooled by Voltorb. Supporter cards are considered to be the most powerful of the trainer cards in the Pokemon trading card game. In fact, they are so powerful that you are limited to playing only one per turn. Most players prioritize the inclusion of supporter cards like Professor's Research and Marnie because they draw cards. The more resources in hand, the more options there are available for you to work with. However, there are cases when using a supporter card to search for Pokémon is a better option. For example, when a deck relies on one or more evolved Pokémon to execute its winning strategy, it is very important to be able to put their previous stages into play as quickly as possible. That's the reason there are 4 copies of Brawly in this Rapid Strike deck. When you play Brawly, it is almost like playing 3 Quick Balls or 3 Level Balls at the same time. Brawly continues to be a useful supporter card even later in the game when searching for basic Pokémon might be less of a priority. Being a Rapid Strike card, it can still be used to power up Malamar's attack. What a guy! Brawly specifically searches for Rapid Strike Pokémon, which means it is a good fit in this deck, but would not be suitable in decks that do not feature Rapid Strike Pokémon. Similarly, a supporter card like Piers, which searches for Darkness-type Pokémon, would not fit into this deck because there are no Darkness-type Pokémon. Supporter cards like Sonia and Pokekid are less specific about the kinds of Pokémon for which you can search, so they could be effectively used in a wider range of decks. We just learned a ton of information, so let's see if you can search for the answer in this little pop quiz. Which of these cards can a player use to search their deck for an Inkay? Is it Quick Ball, Fog Crystal, or Brawly? The answer is all of them. If you've heard of the phrase home field advantage in a sporting context, well, this can be applied to battles in the Pokemon trading card game too. Stadium cards are a type of trainer card that changes the setting of a battle, and some enable players to search their deck for a specific Pokemon. For example, Turffield Stadium is the perfect inclusion for any deck that features evolved grass-type Pokemon. The benefit of a Stadium card over item cards or supporter cards is that you can use its effects every turn for as long as it stays in play. Remember, Stadium cards affect the whole battlefield, so your opponent can also use any Stadium card that you put into play. On the flip side, you can use any Stadium card that your opponent puts into play. The Rapid Strike Malamar and Octillery deck we've been examining in this episode does not include any Stadium cards that enable players to search for Pokemon because the deck already has plenty of supporter cards and item cards that fill that role. It also already includes a Stadium card, Tower of Waters, which is a Rapid Strike card that reduces the retreat cost of Rapid Strike Pokemon in play by 2 energy. An equally valid way to build a deck is to prioritize Stadium cards that have a Pokemon search effect instead of the equivalent supporter cards. In either case, you'll need to remember to include items like Quick Ball. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Top Deck Academy. I had so much fun figuring out which Pokemon search cards would enable me to land some powerful Rapid Strike combos. What do you think of the Rapid Strike Malamar and Octillery deck? Would you include different Pokemon search cards? Let me know in the comments below, and also let me know what you'd like to see on future episodes of Top Deck Academy. Thanks for watching! Shout out to my fellow TCG caster Ellis Longhurst for writing this episode of Top Deck Academy.